Hello everyone, my name is GrimmChorizo, and after several years we're back with another episode of Nice Deck, the series where we show off some of our favorite custom-built Magic the Gathering decks. And today I'm here to show off a deck that I built a few years back and finally got around to finishing. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to enter the dragon. This is a red-green deck focused around obliterating your opponents with powerful dragons. The sheer power and numbers of your dragons will overwhelm your opponents, and not even a wish from the Dragon Balls will save them from their fiery demise. The dragons in this deck have high mana costs, but we have plenty of cards to help get the lands you need, as well as make it easier to get your creatures out on the field. Let's go ahead and start by talking about the main attraction of this deck, the dragons. I decided I wanted to use a plethora of different dragons as opposed to playsets of certain ones, because I wanted to really get the variety of different dragons and their abilities. And because all these dragons have the flying ability, it can make things very difficult for your opponents. Oh shit! Dragon Lord Atarka and Atarka Worldrender are the two legendary creatures in this deck. Both of these creatures cost 7 mana and have trample and high power toughness of 8/8 and 6/4 respectively. When Dragon Lord Atarka enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to any number of creatures and or planeswalkers. With this ability, you can most likely kill a few of your opponent's little creatures, or maybe take out a larger threat you've been worried about. Atarka Worldrender gives all of your attacking dragons the double strike ability, which can be brutal to fight against. Basically, your dragons get to attack twice, and with the high amount of power that the dragons have, it can be deadly for your opponents. Many of the other dragons have abilities similar to Dragon Lord Atarka's damage dealing. When Balefire Dragon deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each creature that player controls. Already being a base 6/6, that is enough to kill most creatures. When Scourge of Valkis or another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to target creature or player, where X equals the number of dragons you control. That means each time you play a new dragon with the Scourge of Valkis out, you get to deal that much damage to your opponent's creatures or that player themselves. If you have more than one Scourge of Valkis out, the ability stacks, so you might even kill your opponents without even attacking them directly. Hellkite Charger has haste, meaning it can attack right on the turn that it is played. Hellkite Charger also allows you to tap 7 mana while attacking, and it lets you untap your attacking creatures and then attack again. The Slumbering Dragon only costs 1 mana, but that's because it can't attack or block until it gets 5 counters on it. It gets those counters whenever a creature attacks you, so although Slumbering Dragon starts out as basically a nothing creature, it might scare off your opponents from attacking you, because once it awakens, it will be an 8/8 creature ready for revenge. This deck also has non-dragon creatures, including Dragon Speaker Shaman and Dragon Lord Servant. These creatures make your dragon creatures cheaper to play, helping out with their high mana costs. Sylvan Ranger helps you get a creature out early to defend with, but more importantly helps you get more land that will be needed to play your big dragons. Cultivate and Rampant Growth also help in regards to getting land out on the field or in your hand. Cultivate allows you to get a land on the battlefield and in your hand, while Rampant Growth just gets 1 on the battlefield, but for 1 less mana. Descendant's Path is a nice way to get dragons out without even paying mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal the top card of your library, and if it shares a creature type with a creature you have on the field, you get to play it for free. You most likely will have a dragon on the field, and you have a decent chance of drawing a dragon, meaning you have a high probability of getting free dragons. The bulk of this deck is the creatures, but there are certainly some other key spells that make this deck truly a nice deck. Get it? Nice deck. Okay. Crucible of Fire gives all dragons you control +3/+3, which is quite a nice boost to their already high power and toughness. Dragon Tempest grants your dragons haste when they enter the battlefield to help speed up the destruction. This card also shares the ability that Scourge of Valkis has, where when one of your dragons enters the battlefield it deals damage to that player or its creatures, based on the number of dragons you control. This deck uses one artifact called Mage Slayer. Mage Slayer can be equipped to your dragons, and whenever the equipped dragon attacks, it deals damage equal to his power to defending player. That means no matter what, if you attack them, they have to take the damage of that dragon's power. Let's lay out a scenario here. If you have Dragon Lord Atarka out, he is an 8/8. You also have a Crucible of Fire, that makes him an 11/11. If you attack right then and there with Atarka equipped with Mage Slayer, you deal 11 damage right away to the player, and that's before they even get to block the actual attack. If they can't block Atarka, that's another 11 damage, and even if they can, it still has Trample, which can easily lead to over near 20 damage in that one attack. And that is just the attack of one dragon. As you can see, this deck can deal massive damage. It already has the advantage of flying creatures, making it more difficult to block. Add on the brutal abilities of dealing damage to creatures and players outside of combat damage, the boosted powers, the double strike, the haste, and the Mage Slayer, and you might have one of the most powerful decks there is. There are downfalls to this deck, however, as it can be a slow deck. You need lots of mana or your shamans and servants to help play your dragons, and without those, you are doomed. If you are playing against a deck that negates or destroys flying, you also probably won't stand a chance. But let's be real here. You and your dragons will soar to new heights, bringing fire and destruction across all planes of existence. Move over, Daenerys. Move over, Lance. There is only one real Dragon Master. Thanks for watching my episode of Nice Deck. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Enter the Dragon. You can check out the Tapped Out page featuring all the cards down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you hadn't seen Nice Deck before or want to revisit some of our past episodes, be sure to check out the playlist featuring Robbie and his Heroes deck, Chris and his Kraken deck, and my Undead deck. I'm GrimmChorizo of the Vortex, and we'll see you next time.